just like that. Off. Yes, now 29 is in my head. Okay, so that is just a laser right on it. Yes, sir. That's how it's done. Welcome back to the HyFlyers channel. We've got something special for you today. It might be a bit much. I'm gonna take you inside my mind on all that I'm thinking about and processing and see just how low can I go. Let's get started. First hole, first shot, I'm gonna go ahead and rip driver. I gotta carry it 290 to get over the bunker, but because I have shot dispersion, I can swing freely, a little bit more freedom, and hit an aggressive drive. You can see that's a nice high draw right down the center. Let's go. You probably noticed I've got a nice colorful flowery shirt on. I'm not really a flower guy because it accentuates my fatness. I've always fought the weight demons, although I've lost some weight. I don't need to accentuate any of those areas. However, Primo makes a really good looking shirt. I've lost a lot of weight, feel like I'm pulling it off. You tell me. I hit a great drive in the center of the fairway, and because of it, I have only about a 65-yard shot in with an L wedge, which I'm pretty good with an L wedge. 70 yards to the hole, there's a backstop there. If I fly it past the hole and spin it, it will come back off that backstop too much. So I want to come in here with less spin. So 70 yards, I can hit an L wedge. Stock goes 95, Pels goes 85. I would have to take about 15 off of it. I kind of like that. I think that I could take enough spin off of it by hitting the L wedge easy enough to fly it around 70. Now, if I feel like it's going to spin too much, I would drop down to a sand wedge and hit a little more club to take spin off. If I come in low with this shot, I might be able to get it to skip forward, and then I only have to fly it maybe 67 or 68. And if it comes in a little bit higher and more spin, it might fly 72 or 3 and come back. So I'm going to try to hit right around 69, 70, 68, 69, and land it just short of the hole and bring it a little bit lower, and that will take away that backstop from overspinning. So look, I got a lot of stuff in my head, right, as you can tell. Now, as I'm looking at my lie, it's sitting fine, slightly down grain. I always assess that because the grain down as opposed to in, you can see how the club is stabbing here and down. When it's down grain, the club will slide easier and the ball will actually launch a little bit higher because I can get the leading edge under a little bit easier, and it will have a little bit less spin. So I've got a nice lie. Now I go back to my references. I have a 75-yard reference, which is 10 off of Pels. So I have 95, Pels is 85. 10 off of Pels is a little shorter, same acceleration, that's 75. I'm going to choke down, knock off a few more yards. So now I'm going to go off that 75, choke down just under, and try to hit right around 69 to 70 on this shot. Okay, so I hit 66. I was trying to shoot right around 69, 68, but because I dropped the spin, it came in without spin, and it's going to turn about right. So you can see it hit 66 right there. And that's about 2 yards under my number, but because I brought it in with no spin, it released and should be up by the hole. I'm going to guess 6, 7 feet. Let's go take a look. All right, so as we walk up here, it looks like, yes, I'm right about 6 feet, maybe 5.5. Look, for the purposes of this video, let's just assume I'm right. It'll save time. And here we have a little 4 or 5 foot putt for birdie. You can see that the ball landed short, just like we said, 3 yards. 1, 2, 3. It was 69 to the hole, and we ended up pin high because we brought it in without spin. So ideally, had I flown it a little bit longer and had a little more spin, it would have come back. And so I'm trying to find the biggest margin of error to get it close, and we did a reasonably good job here. Now we've got a putt, and we're trying to read this thing. And I like to try to find like where 6 or 12 o'clock is. So roughly, as I look at it, I mean, a straight uphill putt's going to be right around here. So as I move to the side, I'm getting close to 9. So I'm getting close to maximum break, not quite. Maximum break is 10 and 2. Maximum break is slightly downhill. It's not always perfectly across at like 9 and 3 o'clock on a clock. It would be max break would be right about here. I'm moving across. This thing is pitched not quite 3%, maybe 2%. And I know just through math, this green speed at 11 is going to want to break 6 inches, which means I'm going to end up having to play it about 4 inches out, which is right about here. This putter has slayed a tiger over the years. Most notably, the best one was at where it got its name was the 2012 AT&T when we were in the last group. Shot 64 to his 75 and won the tournament. A lot of good memories in this putter. Birdie. I don't know if you guys remember Joe Isuzu from the Kapalua ads. Of course, that was probably 40 years ago. All right, so we're 1 under. That's a pretty easy little start there by just picking and choosing the best shot on when we can get aggressive and the opportunities that come. You know, you can see that there's a lot of stuff in my head. I try to simplify it and dummy it down when it's time to hit, but I got a lot going on. Hopefully you'll pick up a few things that might help and then just disregard a majority of it. All right, let's go on to 11. Second hole. Okay, off to a good start. Not only did I hit a good wedge shot close, but it was also left to right, like a nice hooking putt, which was nice. So we're moving to the 11th hole. We're playing the back nine at Del Mar Country Club. The 11th hole is a par 5. Another opportunity to get off to a good start, make a birdie or even have an eagle putt. And it comes down to a nice drive. So I want to hit a good, hot, tumbling drive. Just after about 310 yards or so, there's a hill. And if I can get the ball hot and running, I can sometimes get it down that hill and get it running and pick up another 30, 40 yards. So I'm going to try to do that. And the way I'm going to do that is by hitting a draw, because we're slightly into the wind, and the less spin of a draw and the fact that the hole shapes left to right, I can maybe, if I hit it really good, get it working down the hill and have a shorter shot in. So what I need to do is get the spin off of it. So I want to get the spin down below 2200, and the way to do that is a good release. Like a draw is going to spin it less. So I'm going to try to stay behind it and let it release. By that I mean I don't want my head moving forward. I want to stay behind it, let the club release. Let's see if I can hit a hot draw and get it down there. Okay, nailed it. I'm just taking a moment to admire it. I got the spin down to 2,083. I didn't have to hit it too hard, but by getting that flat flight and having 2,083 under 2,200, there's a good chance that ball is going to tumble down this fairway nicely. Okay, so a couple things as we're playing. We want to be aware of hydration and food and so forth, so that we keep kind of a mental and physical steady keel throughout the round. So I'm going to be drinking water. If you like to add supplements to the water, vitamins and so forth, I totally get it. I oftentimes do. Sometimes I'll put sea salt in it too. I don't like eating a lot of food before a round because I get lethargic and tired. So I have these little bites, these little wellness bites that I'll eat, these little gizmos. So I had one before we played, and maybe about halfway through I'll add one more. And then I have, you've heard me talk about like our gummies for hydration, our gummies for recovery. I'll have some of those to kind of just 3 or 4 of those to keep a steady level of energy throughout the round. So now I'm driving up to my ball, and right about here is 310 where the normal landing area is, and I was able to get it to come about halfway down the hill. So I'm right here by the cart path. For my second, I made it halfway down. You can see a little bit of hill there. Didn't get it down to the bottom, but still a really good shot. So I got halfway down the hill, which is great. I only have 200 actual, but I have 188 to the hole. Now, it's downhill, which means it's 12 yards downhill. I also have wind in. Now, I don't know if you know this or think about it a lot, but when you have a shot that's downhill, the ball's in the air a lot longer, so the wind is going to affect it, not just what your normal expectation is, but 1.6 times that. So over 200 yards, this ball is going to be affected by the wind about 18 yards normally. I got to add about another 9 or 10 to it. That means I'm looking at 28 yards of hurt on a 188 downhill, so it's going to be 216, kind of the number that I'm looking at. And there's a little bit of a slope behind that will bring it back. However, if I go too far, now I've got that slope bringing it down to the hole and it's fast. So I actually want to be a little bit under the hole. I can take a 5-iron and get about I can normally hit at 215, which would be perfect, be right on that number. However, because I have a downhill lie and it's going to be flighted lower, the wind will affect it a little bit less. So I've got a 5-iron. I'm going to get my quad, and I'm looking actually to target about 207 or 8. But when we have a downhill lie, the tendency is to kind of get ahead of it a little bit and slide ahead of it, leading to a slight push. So I'm going to try to really stay steady on my backswing and almost feel like I'm pushing back to stay centered a little bit more than normal. And I'm just going to hit like a little line drive using the slope to help keep this ball down and not really having to fight it. All right, let me get focused here. Okay, so that is just a laser right on it. Now, I misjudged a few things because I hit 200 on the machine because it was so low, but that ball was so flat, it went right through the wind and went over the green. So I had 188 hole, and that ball, I hit 200 on the machine, that ball went 200 in the air. So the wind did not affect that at all. That's just talent. That's all that is. I don't even know what to say about that because I hit 200. We were trying to even target more, but it came in so flat. We're now past the hole, which was I was actually trying to prevent. But I'm okay with the wedge, and this should be able to, if I hit a nice touch, it should be enough to stop it right around the hole. Like I don't think it's going to be racing by, but I have to just barely drop it on top of this ridge. So I want the ball to almost stop right around here. So I'm not really looking too much, at the hole. I'm just looking at that mark. I'm going to go back to the stance, open the face, trying to get it to stop softly right around that mark. So you can see back of the stance, face is open, and I just want to fly just on, just like that. Okay. Now just high of that mark, here he is, kind of dying by that old hole, trickling on down. Okay, it was a sensitive little shot, so I'll take that. I wish I had given myself an eagle opportunity, but honestly, I can't fault myself because I hit the shot exactly how I wanted to back in the fairway, and sometimes it just doesn't, work out always as planned. On these short ones, what I find for me personally is sometimes if the weight in my feet move from my toe to my heel, my body starts oscillating, and that affects my stroke. So I try to get my pressure in my feet so that I'm very stable. So I'm putting pressure into my feet, into the ball of my front foot and the heel of my back, almost creating a hook. So now I'm really stable so that my body doesn't move because I don't want to be oscillating here. So I'm very stable here. And then I just take the putter and go right down the target line to knock those in, trying to stay as stable as I can. That to me is the biggest thing on the short putts, is that keeping my weight and pressure in my feet still so that I don't move back and forth, which affects which way the putter swings. We move on to a really long, difficult par 3. They put some back tees here that you'll notice here on 12 and 13. 13's back in the parking lot. 12 is 40 yards back of the normal tee. They just put a small little tee area there. Pretty cool hole though. It's about 30 yards downhill, and so the factor of that is really the wind, because we just talked about how much the wind affects it more on downhill or shots, and it affects it less obviously on uphill shots. Judging that is going to be the biggest thing. So let's move on. Okay, so we're 2 under through 2, which is nice, and we're moving on to a very difficult par 3. Challenging. It'll be about 235 down the hill, but there's about 30 yards or so downhill. So I'm going to be working on some kind of 5-iron, I think. The first 2 holes were the opportunity to kind of get the round going, so I'm glad I got off to a good start. These next 3-4 holes have some real bite to them, and this par 3 is one of them. Let's see, it's 240, playing 221. So I hit my normal 5-iron about 215, which means this most likely will be short. However, I do have the ability to add a little bit to it and hit it a little bit more than my number at will. The pin is back. I don't want to go long. So I don't want to pull out a 4-iron or a 4 hybrid and bring long into play to where I have to feel like I'm taking something off of it. The wind comes from out of the right. So as the ball gets out to its apex, it really falls a lot because the wind is pushing it, and it's pushing it longer as the ball's in the air longer because of the downhill shot. So I have to play for that, and I'm going to end up drawing it back into the wind to try to hold it straight. Sometimes I'll let it ride with the wind, but I don't want it riding that long. I want to kind of work it in and see if I can hold it straight. So and I don't have enough club really to get it all the way back there unless I, really hit it. So I'm going to try to draw a 5-iron and really hit kind of that shot that I hit on the last hole, which is just a bullet right through the wind. And there should be no chance of this one going over the green, although I thought that on the last hole too. So I'm going to go ahead and rip this 5-iron, a little bit of draw, and try to get a good shot about 20 feet just short of the hole for a nice uphill putt. All right, push it, wind, push it, push it, push it. All right, so I shot it right up the right edge of the green. I drew it back into the wind, and it was fighting the wind, and then the last little bit, it fell just to the left. So I can't even believe this, but this is on the back fringe. It's great, it's 30 feet. I did not think it would go over. I'm curious to see where that ball landed and if it released or not. I was worried about getting it to the hole. Today's just one of those days where I've got a little bit extra energy. I mean, sure, I was in the gym this morning. Maybe it's the flowery shirt, I don't know. But something's going on because the ball's going a long ways. I'm gonna take the pin out because quite honestly, the thing's just in the way. I don't need this thing in the way. It's thick, ball kind of bounces off of it. We don't need that. Although I'm trying to make it per se, I'm actually trying to get it in a 3-foot circle. And I figure, okay, if I get inside a 3-foot circle, then I'm gonna make the next putt, I save par, and the cup of 4 1/4 inches occupies a certain amount of space in that 3-foot circle to where a number of them will go in without me even trying if I could just get every chip inside 3 feet. Toe down, ball's up by my back toe so I can get the shaft a little more vertical and get the toe down. Okay, so it's inside my 3-foot circle. Essentially, in my mind, the next one is good. However, mentally, you can't slack off. You still have to make it. It's just that statistically, we should make 100% of those inside 3 feet. I sit there and practice it. 3 feet would be right about out to here, so I'm about 2.5 feet. It's a nice par on a tough par 3. Again, on these short ones, I don't want to take it for granted, so I want to make sure my feet and pressure in my feet are set. Okay, so I got good pressure, so I'm stable. Now from this position, the stroke should be simple. It's not gonna move much. But again, if my pressure is a little loose, or I get out on my toes, or I get out on my heels, and I start wobbling, it's gonna affect the stroke, and you could easily miss those. And now that I have a little less weight, I'm much more affected by the wind. So I gotta be a little more careful. Driving to the tee box on 13, it's in the parking lot. They move, it's really cool, I think. They put some tees back in spots, and it's really cool, but there's a back tee here in the parking lot that adds some good distance to this hole. We're 2 under through 3, nice little start. That was a tough par 3, a 2 there is a bonus, very difficult 2 there at 240 downwind, or downhill and crosswind. So I have a few options off this tee. We're back in the parking lot here on 13 at Del Mar Country Club. Pretty cool how they put this little tee in here, and it adds a nice little look and intimacy, I think, to this hole. So there's a creek that cuts across up the right side and cuts in the fairway. So I can't just bomb driver, it'll go right in the creek. So I have to shape a shot. Now, the wind is in left to right, so I can't just start it out left and let it draw because I got trees right here. So I really have to hit the shot straight, and I almost want it cutting to get away from the creek so I get away from the right side. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit a driver, but it's not full, and I'm going to hit it low. Like I call it a chippy driver, but it's really not. So just like that. You can see it starts right at the creek, right up the edge, cuts back, left center of the fairway. And that's just like a little, I'll call it a fairway finder, but it's just that I know which way the miss is going. It's out of the air, so it's not in the air very long, and it's just much easier to keep it in play. It's a little low cut, little fairway finder, little anti-right shot or anti-pull shot. Anti-right for me being left-handed. And it worked out great to get it in play off this tee because there's lost ball left, there's water right, you just got to get it in play. And that's a cool little shot that Brendan Steele really helped me learn. And I don't want to say perfect, because believe me, I have not perfected any drives, but I have gotten much more efficient with it, I would say. Pretty level shot here. I have 165 to the hole. And on this lie, you can see that the ball, if we move that shadow there, you can see that the lie is sitting kind of in a little low area. Ball's going to launch a little lower. It's going to have more spin. It's not going to get my full number. So if I think that I use let's say a speed that would hit it, 165, the ball might only go about 160. It's going to be about 5 yards shorter just because it's going to launch lower with a little more spin. So relative to my effort level and feel of a 165 shot, it's going to go 160. But we have a lot of hurt. We have about 15, 20 yards of hurt, I believe. So I'm looking in my head about 185. I can hit a full 7-iron 185, but I don't really want it going up in the air like that. So now I'm going to drop down to 6-iron and I'm going to start working off Pell. So Pell 6 is 190. I know that I'm going to have to take off of that. Because I have enough club, so much club, that when I do take something off it, it's going to be low and flat. So really, the wind won't affect it as much with this club as if I were to hit a 7-iron way up in the air and with more spin. So now I feel like my number with this club is going to be close to 75-ish. It's only going to be 10 yards of hurt because it's going to be so low with so little spin by taking so much club. Now imagine if I took a four hybrid or a 3-wood and I just hit a little low shot that flew 165 yards, wind's not going to touch it at all. So it's like finding that balance of what club, trajectory, spin rate, and so forth will be affected by the wind and how much. So on this monitor, it's probably going to be around 170. I know that 190 is my Pell swing. I know that the ball is going to come out a little bit shorter because of the lie. So now I'm looking at, instead of 175, if that's my number on the monitor, I'm looking at trying to hit it 180 in my feel, which is 10 off of Pells. So I'm going 10 off of Pells, which is a little bit shorter backswing than my normal Pells. I know, man, it's a lot of stuff going on in my head. So I'm trying to explain all the stuff that is in my head, so maybe you have a little bit of empathy when you watch me on TV and be like, oh my God, what is this guy doing? But now I'm going to try to dummy it down. All right, I know that when I'm trying to hit a 175-yard shot on the monitor, it's going to feel like 180. I know that that feels like 10 off of Pell. So I'm going, now everything's clear in my mind. 10 off of Pells, that's all I'm focused on. I'm going to hit a little flat cut 6-iron. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that laser right on the pin. Pin high. Come on, check this out. So we hit 172 on the monitor. It landed 3 yards short of the hole. It skipped up to pin high. So see, that's how it's done. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but when you can process it, dummy it down, hit the shot, it pays off. All right, so we're walking up here. We have about 9-10 feet for birdie. Honestly, that was really a cool little shot. Like, I love it because it's so flat, because I'm taking enough club to where I don't have to hit it hard. The ball flies flat, never really left the pin. And then I'm always checking, okay, let me just check and see where that ball flew. How much did the wind actually affect it? Okay, well, I have my divot right here. I go 1, 2, 3, 3 yards. So here's my divot. If I had hit 75 on the monitor, it would have flown pin high. So we had that thing nailed as far as like the fact that the wind was only going to affect it about 10. We knew that it was 65 to the hole, so it flew 62, and I hit 72 on the monitor, so that was 10 yards of hurt, just kind of like what we were saying on that low shot. I'm looking left edge-ish. I know it's going to work a little right early. I think it's going to kind of slow up its break. All right, now I'm over it. I'm trying to get feel for pace going past the hole. I'm feeling it work a little more right early as I'm over the ball. So I've taken my left edge. I'm going to make a fraction adjustment to just outside the hole and let kind of my instincts take over here. So I started just outside the hole. Go, go. Okay, I got lucky because I didn't give it the pace I wanted, but by using my instincts and letting it play a little bit more break, I was able to take that last little bit, what I call kind of like a connection, that feel, that sense, to make that adjustment over the ball to end up making another birdie. All right, so this is a good start. Like now I'm thinking, okay, next drive. What am I gonna do here? I got this next drive coming up. It's a 285 number to get to the fairway into the wind. So this is a beast of a drive, and there's water left and there's lost ball right. I have to man up and hit a shot. So I'm kind of gearing up for that. It's like, all right, in my head, I'm already processing, all right, I'm gonna trust that swing. What does that feel like to let that club just go whipping by, trust that club head is gonna work, and just hit the drive that I want. On this hole, like where I get in trouble, and where I think a lot of us do, is if we try to like steer it or control the result. That's not good. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to feel speed. Like I want the club to just go with speed. I'm not gonna try to like hit it ridiculously hard. But when I do hit it harder or swing faster, I try to feel the club start releasing earlier in my downswing rather than waiting for the ball and then trying to find it. So what I want to feel is I want to feel speed and the release, because I know that if that'll match those two, that'll help me hit it the straightest. I'm not worried about hitting a bomb here. It'd be nice, but I'm more worried about just feeling the speed of the club with the release. So I'm just looking at these trees right down the center. All right, that's it. I'm just feeling the release from the top, trusting it, not trying to control the result, just let it go, let it fly. And I actually gave that, like, it almost had a little more pop to it because I get out of my own way of trying to control it. All right, I have 155. There's water short. There's a backstop, meaning there's a hill that'll bring it back down. I don't really need to have spin, but if I had a little spin, it could get it right by the hole. So with that being the case, I actually want to hit like a fuller shot. Like I don't want it to be coming in too low and flat to where it doesn't come back. I actually want it to come back now, because now I can fly it farther, use the slope, and also get the water out of play. So 55, I'm going to add my number to 58. I'm going to add 3 yards to it, let's say. That gives me, I could go up to maybe 62, 63 and be okay, still catch the slope. Or I can come up a little short of the 58, fly 55, be right by the hole. But I'm going to try to hit like 58, 59 would be really good. Okay, now hitting a fuller shot, the wind's going to affect it more. 17 yards. Now what am I working on? I'm working on 75-ish. Can I get a 7 iron or 8 iron 75? Probably not. I'd have to really rip the 8 and draw it, because a draw is going to get affected by the wind maybe 13 yards. A cut will be affected by the wind like 22 yards because of the increase of spin and whatnot. So if I drew it, let's say I would have hit a rip draw and get 170 on the monitor, that might be about 58, 59. That could be about right. If I were to cut it, I would have to go to the 7, and I would probably have to get about 75 or 80 on the monitor because of the increased spin. The way this sets up, I kind of like cutting it. I like the shot working from right to left because it's angled a little bit this way. It's angled short right, long left. I don't want to be starting an 8 iron out to the longest carry trying to draw it. That doesn't fit my shot dispersion very well. So I'm going to drop down to a 7. All right. Okay, so we're pretty close to our number. I hit 69. So I'm 3 yards from my number, but I pulled up 25 feet short, 8 yards short. The spin of the cut shot, the wind hit it a lot harder. And so that ball flew, if I had 55 hole, the ball flew 47. I hit 69 on the machine, 22 yards of hurt. Let's go up there and just verify that with our divot and see. But now we're processing that data and realizing, okay, the wind hitting a cut, it hit it 22 yards of hurt, whereas a draw would have been about half that. So we're about halfway through with this round. You can tell I got a lot going on in my head, about as much in my head as going on this shirt. But if you think you can pull this shirt off too the way I am, go to Primo and use the code Phil15 for 15% off. Let's see if it looks as good on you as it does on me. So now I've got a 55-degree wedge. I very rarely chip with anything other than a 60, but I use the 55 for my toe down chip. And I'm looking at, okay, is this gonna be smooth enough to putt, to go through the fringe, get on the green, and not have it moving a lot? Because if it is, I'll putt it. But if it's not, I'll chip it to take that variable out. Well, this is pretty tight here. There's not a lot of break or movement, and it's pretty smooth to the green, so there's no reason really to chip it. There's no benefit that I would be eliminating or variables I'd be eliminating by chipping it. So I'm going to putt it. Okay. I know I'm going to putt it now. I'm looking at the break. I know it's uphill and it's into the wind. I know the wind will affect a little bit. The green seems to flow this way, and I seem to be a little bit right of the flow of the green, which means my ball is going to go left. I'm like at 5 o'clock as I work up the hill. Well, it's not that slow. I hammered that. Whew, wow. So we had a nice round going, and then hole 14 came along. All right, so I've got a 6-footer downhill. All right, I'm slow walking because I'm giving myself a little bit more time to let go of such a horrendous putt. So I'm kind of slowly fixing the ball mark here, and I'm just letting my mind kind of settle down like, all right, now I'm gonna have to get refocused here and dial it in. Like that. Okay, so that's great that I saved this putt, that I was able to save par. But the amount of energy that I had to use on that 6-footer over the course of 18 holes, there's going to be a factor there where it takes away a fraction of a shot here or there. So I have to do a better job of making it easier on myself. Yeah, I wanted to make it, but I've got to leave the next one inside 3 feet. I was able to, in this case, salvage a shot, but in essence, I lost a quarter of a stroke there because of the percentage from 3 feet, which is 100%, to 6 feet, which is about 67%. I lost a decent amount of a shot there, even though I was able to salvage it. Over the course of 18 holes, 72 holes, that stuff adds up. So I got to be more aware of that. Because I'm out here getting ready for some tournaments and stuff, I have a lot of clubs, as you can tell, and I switch it up. I got 2 drivers I like. You've been seeing me hit the Callaway Elite, which I really do like. I used it in Australia. I also hit the new Ping very well, and so I'm going to go to this. I just want to experiment with some clubs, and I'm trying to find, all right, what's the best setup for the courses and tournaments that I have coming up. And so I'm going to go ahead and use this a little bit too. I hit this one very well. I hit it just as straight, just as nice. And I also have some other clubs like I've been trying, like a 7-wood or different wedges or what have you. In Phil's book of rules, there's no 14 club rule. There's no max limit. You probably saw that in the match with DJ where he used 27 clubs because again, there's no max. So again, like the last hole, I'm just going to aim down the center. I'm going to trust that release from the top. I'm not going to try to steer or manipulate it. I don't need to. I'm just going to trust that the club will do the work, let her rip, and hit the fairway. Just like that. So one of the things this year for me is I am not going to overpower the golf course in terms of the way I used to relative to the field, meaning I was always been like top 25 in distance, let's say. And I was able to, like, the courses were not set up as long as they are now, and I was able to take advantage and overpower a lot of the holes. But today, they're lengthening it, and guys are in the 190 ball speeds. Bryson and, Aldrich Potgieter and some of these guys are ridiculous. Well, I'm not going to overpower them and beat them that way, so I got to find another way. I've got to evolve my game, much like I have throughout my career, when we switched from shafts that had a lot of torque to shafts that had little torque, when we switched from wound balls to solid core balls, when we switched from wedges and grooves that had sharp edges to not. I've had to evolve a lot of my game with the conditions over the 30 plus years that I've played. And this year is no different. So instead of fighting it, trying to like hit bombs, I'm going to, yeah, I want to hit it long, and I want to be able to when I want to, but I'm not going to beat guys hitting bombs. I'm going to beat guys getting the ball in play and then beating them with my iron play, because as you can see, even though there's a lot of shit in my head, I'm able to process through it and get distance control and hit my irons a lot closer to most. We have 245. My ball landed right there, and you can see it has mud on it. So come on up here, and you can see that I have some mud on the front left and down here on the bottom and a little bit on the left side. Now that's enough to affect it. Now when aerodynamically, when the mud is on the left side of the ball, it will cause the ball to fly to the right, and when the mud is on the right side of the ball, it will cause it to fly to the left, and it will be pretty much in proportion to the amount of mud. So I'm trying to say, okay, how far left do I need to aim in this instance, because that mud's going to shoot it to the right. Now interestingly enough, putting the ball, it's the opposite. So if you're on the fringe and you can't clean your ball, the weight of the mud will pull it towards it. So as the putt dies, it will die towards that weight and actually work, in this case, to the left if we're on the ground. But in the air, it shoots it right. So I have 245, pins up top in the back. Long is bad. I gotta be cognizant of what this mud will do. So in this instance, 4, I'm not thinking eagle, 4 would be ideal. So if I can put it on the front half of the green, have 50, 60 feet up the tier, putting uphill, I might make it, but I certainly have the best chance to make the easiest 4. So I'm gonna try this new club, this 7 wood that I just got. I hit it about 235. I have helping wind, so if I were to hit a good one, there's a good chance it'll get close to the hole or close to that tier, but really I'm just playing for the front part of the green. And there's not a ton of room right, but there is some. I don't wanna aim too far left and plan on it shooting it way to the right. I'm gonna play kind of only about 15 yards left of the pin, which is left edges or just inside that bunker there. Let the mud hopefully pull it to the right and play to the front half of the green. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip a 7 wood here. Oh wow, that shot right. Hang on, hang on. Okay, so that ball really shot to the right. Now there's some room over there, but it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be close to the cart path or the bunker. Let's go see what we got, but you know, that's what the mud does, and it's just hard to gauge and judge it. And that's why, you know, so many players are against mud ball, because it really eliminates a lot of the skill and makes it guesswork. But that's the game. I mean, that's nothing we can do. So okay, so we got lucky. I mean, this ball stayed just in play. It just hit up on the end of the hill there and killed it. Unfortunately, the mud is still on the ball, but I'm not worried about it on this shot here. It's not gonna be really affecting it here, other than when it lands on the green, it might cause a weird bounce. I'm gonna walk up and kind of check out the green. This green is severely pitched right to left, so I know I'm gonna be playing it right of the hole. And although ideally I would have an uphill putt, and I would be trying to chip to an uphill putt, if I get it too far left of this pin, it could easily go right down the tier, and now I've got a long putt. So I'm not gonna worry about leaving myself an uphill putt. I'm gonna use this break. I'm gonna try to play it as high as I can, and I know that it's gonna really feed off this hill. This thing is pitched 4%, like it's really a severe green. Now, as I'm assessing the lie, I have an uphill lie. So I really don't need to do much as far as trying to get the ball to land softly or so forth. I can go to pretty much a basic chip shot. Like, I don't have to do anything here to get the ball to stop. I actually need it to release a little bit. So I'm gonna use a very basic chip. I always like to play it off the back foot area if I can, because I can strike it more solidly and then open the face if I need it to be softer. And then if I have to go high, I'll go front foot. But in this case, because of the uphill lie, I can play this off my back foot. I have plenty of green to work with and let it release. I've got to play about 15, 20 feet of break, but I'm gonna go back foot, not way back. I'm not trying to go low. It'll be as far forward as I would play it off the back foot. And now I'm trying to visualize the shot. I'm trying to feel it, see about where I want it to land, see the arc and trajectory I want. And then once I kind of see it, then I make it kind of a reactionary sport, like basketball, where you just look and shoot, or point and shoot, and where you're just looking at the rim. Here, I'm seeing the shot, where I want it to land, and then I'm just trying to react and let my body just hit that shot without much more thought. So it hit about my spot. It's drifting down. I really didn't want to get it left of the hole. It's a little short left of the hole, but it's got about 7 feet uphill. Not a bad spot. It didn't release as much as I wanted, but I'll take it because it's a good opportunity to make birdie and get away with an unfortunate mud ball. All right, that's the high line. So actually that's gonna be, I'm gonna have to let it drift in there softly. So it's not gonna go too far by the hole if I'm gonna go above that divot. All right, now let me get that nice pace, go right around that divot. See, I just worked on the right edge of the divot, nailed it. All right, good. You saw it just track over this edge, and I had the right pace to match it. That actually feels really good to really match the line with the speed, or match the speed with the line that I saw. And I got away with one there. I mean, it's not like I hit a bad shot back there with the 7 wood, but I mean, sometimes you can't control that stuff, and then to be able to salvage it so it didn't cost me a shot was pretty cool. Okay, so we're walking back to 16 here. 16 is a cool little hole, a lot like number 10, like a little bit longer, but it's where a good drive can leave a short iron in, a little short wedge in. Challenging green, a lot of pitch. Being 4 under through 6, that's a great start, and yes, I have a chance to have like a really good round. I'm not really thinking like, oh, let me birdie the last 3 for 29. No, even though that's possible, it's not in my head. What I'm thinking is here, all right, it doesn't do me any good to like try to hit a big long drive and try to cut towards the green where there's bunkers and stuff. It's like, let's just get this one in play to where I can use my strength, which is my irons, to give myself another birdie look. So I'm trying to dummy it down to let's just hit this shot, not do too much with it off the tee so I can do more into the green. And this isn't really one where trying to cut the corner or what have you is going to help me any. If I drive straight away, that bunker is 310 through up the fairway. So I don't want to hammer it. I just want to hit like a nice solid drive so that I have the widest fairway so it stays short of the bunker, and then we'll play more aggressive into the pin and see if I can birdie the last 3 to shoot 29. I guess it is in my head a little bit. Huh, who knew? Yeah, just like that. So you can see the ball is flying, I don't know if you can see it, it's flying dead straight. Fairway Phil with a PH. I like this guy. I have exactly 100 yards, exactly. Well, I can hit a Pell sand wedge 100 yards. It's gonna back up a lot because I'd have to hit it so hard to get it there, it would create a lot of spin. I could take a gap wedge and I could take 15 off of Pells, let's say, but I have hurting wind and it's still gonna back up quite a bit. So now I'm dropping down to a pitching wedge or a 9-iron to decide, okay, how much spin do I want? Well, at 100 yards, I'm gonna drop down to a pitching wedge, and I'm looking at taking, you know, because there is some hurting wind, I'm gonna be taking about 20 off of Pells. So now I'm trying to find, all right, whereabouts is that? Well, I don't know if I need to fly it past the hole with pitching. I can work right around the hole, I think. So if it's a little short or a little long, if it's a little short, it'll come in lower and it might skip. If it's a little long, now I've hit it firmer, it's got a little bit more spin, it might come back and be just about right. I'm gonna try to fly it right around the hole. In fact, let's get my monitor and see what I do. Like 99 yards, let's say. I'll probably need right around just over 100 because of the hurting wind to get it to fly around 100. I'm trying to find my spot in the backswing. See, I can, Pell's sandwich is 100. Now I gotta go 15 off Pell's gap. I gotta go 30 off Pell's pitching, but with the hurting wind, it's only gonna be about 25 off Pell's pitching. I gotta find that spot in the backswing, accelerate. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so I hit that solid and it felt pretty good. I hit 109 on the machine. We had 100 to the hole, and by giving it a little bit extra, it got up a little bit higher, had more spin, backed up, flew past the hole a little bit. So I had probably 5 or 6 yards of hurt. That's about right. So kind of the way to give yourself a big margin of error. If I had hit it lower and only got 105 out of it, it probably would have skipped and stayed around the hole. So now I feel like, oh, I can get this close, and I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be so precise. So part of that is finding the right club and the right shot. The ball flew 102, so I had 7 yards of hurt, even with that little pitching wedge there. And you can see that the ball just came back a yard or two from its divot, which is great because I was able to control spin. I hit a little further, it backed up. If I had flown it a little lower and shorter, it probably would have skipped a little forward. Both end up around the hole, and we ended up choosing the right club and the right shot to give myself the biggest margin of error of getting it close. Okay, now we go to the break. Now we're looking at this. We're like okay, it was 5 feet. Is gonna be over in here. So I know that we're looking at 2 o'clock. We're right about max break. Awesome, that's awesome. All right, so 5 feet max break. So I don't think it's gonna break as much to here. I feel like there's a little bit of a roll or influence, so it's not as planar as usual. So if it doesn't break much here and then it goes max break, lasts a little bit, this thing's gonna break six inches. It's gonna be 4 inches outside. That's my rough starting point. So I'm looking 4 inches outside. It's gonna be cup, that's like right in there. Now, as I get over it, I'm like, that feels a little too high. I'd have to limp it in there. I don't wanna limp it in there. I wanna hit it in there with assertiveness. So now I'm gonna drop my line down to just outside the hole, about 2 inches. Made that adjustment. Now keep the pace up, right on through. There we go. And so that last little bit, once I get a rough edge, and rough starting line, then I'm using feel, intuition, senses to adjust that line, and then I've got to get into the pace. So, whew, yeah, a lot going on in my head, but sort through it. What are we, 5 under? Nice. Okay, so yes, now 29 is in my head. If I can birdie these last 2, I'll shoot 29. And then I have to say, okay, well, do I want to call it a day, or do I want to go try to shoot 59 and have to shoot 30 the other side and go play 9 more? Okay, let's just dummy it down. I got 177. I need to make a 2 here. I need a good shot. I got 177 hole. Pin is, again, pitch back to front, but I have a left to right helping wind. And with the helping wind, it's going to prevent it. It's going to cause the ball to come in a little flatter and prevent it from backing up. So I can go to a little bit fuller shot. I don't want to bust an 8 because that'll land just short and come back. So now I'm on a 7. I know that it's a 7-iron shot. I know that Pell's 175 is, stock is 185. Pell's 175. That should be about right. However, with helping wind, it should fly just past the hole a yard or 2 and stick. So I might choke down on my 7 to hit, which is 3 inches. 1 inch, choke down is 3 inches. So that will prevent it from getting, also it'll launch it lower. That'll prevent it from getting up in the air and riding the wind long, which I don't want. So I'm gonna go right on Pell's, choke down 1 inch, use my Pell's distance, and I should be able to hit right around 174, 175 on the monitor. All right, let's see if we can do that. It's cutting, but I overcut it. Darn it! Darn it, darn it, darn it. All right, we got 40 feet. It's uphill, but not a good swing. I hit 67 on the monitor, so obviously it's short, it's left. It's just not a good shot, it just sucks. Looking at it, I'm just taking a minute again, like I did on that short putt, to kind of regroup, because I'm just disappointed with that shot. So let me just regroup here. I'm looking at it, I see the influence. There's an influence right to left, but I'm coming from an angle. It's not gonna break a ton. It actually, there's a little bit of a knoll here that wants to kick it to the right, and then the last half it wants to kick it a little left. So it's not doing a ton either way. This one's gonna have pace. This might run by like I did on 14, because I want this ball tracking. So I'm gonna turn the radar on. And then I'm gonna get the ball hunting, get that tight roll, end over end, just roll it as good as I can and get it just hunting the hole. Come on. Aggressive, outside the right edge. Yes, sir. Do it. That's how it's done, mother. That one felt good. Nobody around, well, except for you two derelicts filming. You don't count. That one felt really good. Radar on, radar off. Radar off, no need for it now. Let's go get in the cart and birdie the last for a little 29. Come on. Woo, gotta calm down after that putt. That ball was tracking. That was the goal. Get it tracking. You can't always control the result, but there was no missing that one. No amount of will or imperfections of the green was going to stop that one from going in. All right, so we get up here to 18. Awesome hole here at Del Mar. Beautiful setting, downhill, water up in front of the green, and it sets up perfectly for a little left to right shot. I'm going to go ahead and speed one up. Let's see what I can get on the monitor. I'm doing it because I have a big fairway. It feels like there's left to right hurt, and it shapes well, and I feel like I can just go ahead and rip it. Now, of course, there's OB right, but I mean, it's way right, and there's another fairway left. I'm not even seeing that. Guess what? Fairway fill with a PH, only sees straight. So I'm gonna speed one up. A little disappointing if I'm honest. Of course it's in the middle of the fairway, but only 175. Only 175. Let's go knock a wedge close and make it happen. Let's make it happen. All right, we're in the middle of the fairway here. Pin looks benign, right? It looks in the middle of the green, like it's not by the water. It looks benign. The problem is, or the challenge that we're facing is, it's pitched back to front, left to right, severe. So, and there's really not room behind it to fly it and let it come back, and it's so rolled in front that there's really not an opportunity to land it short and release it up. So now the shot is, all right, I got to find the club that's going to fly around there and then not really back up and not release. So like if I just dummy it down and say, okay, I have 125. I think that was a 127 actual, 2 downhill. Yeah, 125 is my number. Okay, 125. If I take a full gap wedge at I can hit it 125. That thing's gonna fly to the hole. It's gonna suck back. It'll go in the water. So now, all right, I know it's not a gap. Now I go to pitching wedge. All right, if I take Pels and I hit a pitching wedge 130 and I cut it into the left to right wind, and that ball flies 125, it's gonna come back 25 feet. So now I gotta do a couple things. I can cut a 9-iron, or I can draw a pitching wedge. Those are my two options to get it to be around the divot, around the landing area to get the ball to stay there. That's what I'm looking at. All right, well, I got left to right wind. I got the slope going left to right. If I hit a draw wedge, that's a very small, like everything's working away. So I don't like that. I want it working into the wind, into the slope so that it holds straighter. All right, so now I'm down to 9-iron. All right, so we got 9-iron. I hit full 9 155. I hit Pels 9 145. I've got 125, but I need to get around 30-ish on the monitor if I'm cutting it. So I'm looking at 15 off of Pels. So I want to hit about 30 on the monitor, maybe, yeah, 30-ish. So I'm going to choke down. This downhill lie, actually this downhill lie is going to keep it lower. So that means it's not going to hurt as much. So now I'm looking at 25 on the monitor. All right, so I got to go 20 off. So I'm going to go 10 off, 15 off, choke down. So I got a little shorter spot, choke down, cut, 9-iron. There it is. Keep cutting, baby. Okay, so you saw it working up the slope, so it didn't just like peel off. Now I hit 122 on the monitor. 125 was a hole. We were like, let's hit 125. I was within 3, but because I hit it under the number, it came in a little bit lower and it took a skip forward, and it's about pin high. So again, pulling the right club gives me the biggest margin of error to get it pin high, and because it wasn't like ripping with the hill, it kind of stayed around the divot and worked up. I got about a 12 to 15 footer for 29. All right, Slayer. Oh, you've slayed many in your day. What's one more? Huh? What's one more? That last hole was nice. You want to turn the radar back on? What? What do you mean the battery's low? Don't tell me that. What? I'm on my own on this one? That's bull. I don't need the radar. Let's just you and me. Come on, Slayer, we can do it together. We're a team. I'm just kind of assessing it here. We're in no rush, nobody's behind us. It's uphill right to left. Pitch here is about 4.5%. However, I'm not far off of center. I'm not far off of 6. So 6 o'clock is gonna be right around here. So I'm at 5. At home, I have these Pels putting pads, and I know that on a 4% slope at 5 o'clock, it breaks 4 inches, which is 2 inches out. And so if I go again, it's gonna break another 4 inches. So that's gonna be 8 inches. That's 6 inches out. That's kind of my rough start line, and but if it dies in, it'll be a little bit more. Like right here, it could swing a lot, or I could use pace to keep it through. So now I know that 6 inches out is roughly where I want to play this. And now I'm looking at that slope as it goes up the slope, how much pace I need to get it to sling in there. All right. All right, I'm seeing it. Oh no! Off.